Hey YA, I have Matthew 17 today, and Matthew 17 goes over Jesus' transfiguration, Jesus healing a boy with a demon, Jesus again foretelling his death and resurrection, and then about the temple tax. For the purposes of time, I'm just going to have a few thoughts specifically about the transfiguration. So the transfiguration is an amazing moment that Peter, James, and John get to witness and experience. So Jesus brings them up to a mountain, and he is transfigured before them. So it says in scripture that Jesus' face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. And then behold, appeared with him was Moses and Elijah, and the three of them were talking. And so Peter, James, and John got to see not only, Jesus' appearance change, but also seeing Moses and Elijah and them talking to Jesus. So pretty amazing. And then we go on a little bit and we see that, it says a bright cloud overshadowed them, as he was still speaking, and a voice from the cloud said, "This is my beloved son with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." So God the Father shows up, or he speaks to them, and basically not only just, the transfiguration with the brightness of light and his clothes changing that the disciples are seeing Jesus's divinity, but you're also, his divinity, his deity, they're also hearing from God the Father himself, affirming that this is his son. So Jesus, affirming that he is the Messiah, and to listen to him. So amazing stuff going on here. And kind of what I wanted to, take from this is, a couple of things. Is one, the importance of just knowing our scripture, specifically the Old Testament. We're hearing about Moses and Elijah here. So, those of us who have read that, and if you have read that, you know that Moses represents the law and Elijah represents the prophet. So it's so important as we're reading the New Testament, especially as we're going through it this year, that we keep referring back to the Old Testament, because we can't understand the new without the old. And just knowing about Moses and Elijah and their backstory, and then, how the Old Testament is pointing us constantly, many times, many prophecies about the Messiah, that there was going to be this Messiah, and pointing to Jesus, helps us to have such a rich understanding when we're reading the New Testament. And, I wanted there's five chapters and verses in the Old Testament that if you want to do some, deeper reading about this, specifically of how it points to a Messiah coming, to Jesus coming, you can read Genesis 3:15, Genesis 12:3, Isaiah 7:14, Micah 5:2, Hosea 11:1, and there are many more, that you'll see in the Old Testament that are pointing and foretelling the Messiah, Jesus, coming. So we see in the Transfiguration just, God the Father affirming that, Jesus's identity, that he is the Messiah, the sent one, is evidenced by Moses and Elijah being there with him. So it's pretty incredible. So again, just get into the word, just my encouragement is to continue to be in the word, but making sure that, we're rightfully understanding the Old Testament to help us understand the new. So I hope you all will be blessed, and I will see you next time.